Hello and welcome to Otterwood Cottage, where we're building a brand new smallholding in the heart of the Lincolnshire countryside. I'm Emma and we're delighted to have you along with us. I missed you last week. It was for no reason other than we had one of those weekends last weekend where we were cracking on with some kind of big, fairly tedious jobs. So I was shifting all of the wood chip. The last of the wood chip pile has been moved, so I was doing that most of the weekend. Mr H was protecting trees whilst I was doing that, and neither of those things were particularly interesting to film or to talk about, and I'd kind of intended to do a bit of a tour, which I'm going to do with you today, our June tour, but in the end the weekend ran away with us and we both wanted to kind of crack on and finish the jobs we were doing, so we didn't end up getting the camera out at all, which was a shame. And then I really, although it was the right thing to do to finish those jobs, I then missed sharing with you last week. So here we are this week. I've got so much to catch you up on. It's amazing how much can change in a couple of weeks. I think you'll probably see a huge difference as I take you around from when we did the May tour. Lots has come along, some stuff has failed. The weather, oh my goodness, if you're in the UK and enjoying this heat wave at the moment, isn't it fantastic? If you like the heat, if you don't, my commiserations. We love it and have really been enjoying it. There's extra work, of course, around watering and making sure that everything is safe and not frying, but it's worth it for us just to be, I mean, it's not even 9 o'clock and look how glorious it is out here this morning. So today is Saturday, it's summer solstice, and I'm going to take you around and show you everything that's been going on over the last couple of weeks and catch you up on where we are. Yeah. So starting off in the conservatory, because it's already too hot in here, I definitely don't want to be coming in later. Chilies are coming along, chilies and peppers are coming along fantastically. So they're the Prairie Fire. We've already harvested a couple of those and tried them. Oh, they are hot. They are, I mean, they're not considered particularly hot on the Scoville scale, but for me, they are the top end of what I enjoy in a chilli, but they're fantastic, absolutely fantastic flavour. All our other peppers and chilies are coming along well. This is the orange lipstick, the Zitavia, which is what we use for making paprika. Can I focus in on that? The sun behind it isn't showing how much they're ripening actually, but they are really coming along. The padrons are now enormous and attempting to escape the conservatory window, but coming along brilliantly. These rainbow chilies are looking beautiful and plentiful, tons coming along. And less successful, but still with some fruit, are these, which are, I think, the padron peppers, no, the jalapenos. They're just looking a little bit less happy than the others. Still, plenty of fruit on all of those. I'm bringing you out now into the kitchen garden, and as you can see, we've really been out enjoying the sunshine. Let's start over here, because I number the beds from 1 to 8, starting here. So the star of the show in the kitchen garden, I'll just give you the full view, is the nasturtiums. They are just incredible and beautiful, and also these poppies, which Wilkes bought from his mother's house in Scotland, are coming along brilliantly as well. But everything else is doing well. Cosmos haven't flowered yet. The alyssum at the front here are starting to flower. The herb bed is being absolutely taken over by this Russian tarragon, which I'm not sad about. I love tarragon. The summer savoury is starting to flower. The oregano's coming along well. The thyme is just starting to make something of itself. We've got some calendula starting to pop up in the middle. The marjoram is hidden away but still doing pretty well, as is the sage, coming along from a seed. That's looking well. The only thing that hasn't done well in here is the lavender, which is strange because we've got lavender elsewhere on the property that's looking fantastic, but that lavender definitely dead. Not the end of the world. some beautiful extra flowers here that came from some bits and pieces that I'll just whiz you over. How beautiful this is. Rox has been making the well ever so pretty with bedding flowers. Isn't that sweet? And we had some spares, which is why we've got that extra pot there. Right, back to the kitchen garden. The spearmint, which is not my favourite, so of course is doing the best of everything we're growing, is doing brilliantly. Nasturtiums, parsley, chervil, what else have we got in here? Some more, some summertime, all coming along fab. This bed looking a bit more sparse, but everything that's in here is doing well. We've got some garlic chives at the front here. We've got some lemon coriander, which is flowering. We have some shiso. We have some lemon balm. And what's back here? We have some little tiny lemongrass, which is looking okay, and some coriander. And then the tea bed, which I think is going to be my favourite in the long run. So I'm already enjoying tea from here. We have apple mint, we have pineapple mint, both of which make fabulous teas. We've got some chamomile and some fennel. So these are going to be for quick cut, put in some hot water and have a beautiful herbal tea. We've got some cornflowers over here, just in a kind of random bucket of seeds we threw together. And this bed, there's stocks, there's poppies, there's gypsophilia, baby's breath. This is our pretty to look at bed, and it makes me smile every time I look at it. Then over here we've mostly got nasturtium, although there is some, so the nasturtium is taking over and looking fab. But we do also have some fenugreek and some cumin, and I didn't know that cumin had these beautiful little pink flowers on. I've never grown it before, and that's just one of those things that I didn't know and makes me smile when I see it. We have something growing here that the label has disappeared for, and I don't know what it is. We'll find out when that gets bigger. And then my final success story out here is the carrot bed, which we've already thinned 2 or 3 times. The first couple of times they were tiny thinnings, so they just went to the guinea pigs, but they're now starting to give us some little tiny baby carrots that we're able to pop into our salads. So we're starting to harvest from there. The guinea pigs, whilst I'm talking about them, I wonder if I can show you one of the things that Mr. H was doing last weekend, and it's so much nicer for them. Is a bigger run. It's nicer for them because it's bigger, and it's nicer for us because the lid comes off completely. So popping them in and out from their nighttime home is much easier now. And we've kept, so where Miss Wilkes trimmed the orchard, but we've kept the middle bit long, and that's where they go and have their daily exercise. Alright, let's take you out to the veg plot and show you what's happening out there. Oh, but before I do get to the veg plot, let me just show you how gorgeous are these hanging baskets. There's another one I want to show you in a minute, but I've also been distracted by something else I want to show you. This is my first attempt at sour plum jam, which actually ended up making a jelly. So this plum tree here, we waited for the June drop and then did the thinnings. So I thinned out all of the unripe plums, just leaving one every 2 to 3 inches, which is what the book told me I should do. But I didn't want to throw those away, so we used absolutely tons of these tiny unripe plums to make that jelly, and it's a really simple recipe, just plums and sugar. That's it, and it's made a really lovely jelly. It's maybe a little bit on the sweet side for me, so next time, tractor went past then, next time I might just lower the sugar or change some of it for honey, so you don't get quite that granular sugar taste. But I'll pop the recipe I used in the description, because it really is super simple and worth a go if you have those thinnings. One of the other things that's happened this week, and it won't look like anything to you because I don't have a before shot to show you, but this workshop, everything in these boxes was just everywhere. You couldn't get in here. It had got to that, I don't know if any of you ever have this, but it had got to that stage of everything was just being lobbed in because it was already a mess. So Mr. H and I spent yesterday after work, we took everything out, we cleared it out, we rearranged, we put everything that was scattered everywhere in these boxes and sorted out all of the wood. So all of this wood was just scattered either in here or out in the quad, and we were tripping over it, it was causing us a problem. So this was a really satisfying, even though it's still not organised, a really satisfying job to do as a starting point. And then we're gonna, every evening after work, take one box, be ruthless, sort through, throw away what we don't need, and design this. So this is going to be a proper workshop. We already have a planer thicknesser and a miter saw. I used to have, but the engine went on it before we moved, so I got rid of it. A really decent table saw, so we're going to have that, and we're going to really organise this so that it's a usable space, and it's one of the things I really enjoy doing. So another kind of side hobby of mine is kind of using scrap wood to make new things, which I might share with you on this channel if people are interested. It may not be suitable for the small holding, we'll see. Let me know in the chat if you think you'd like to see us make interesting things out of old pallet wood. I tell you what, I don't have a before for that space, but I can show you a comparative, because no holds barred, no shame, but this is a good example of what it looked like in there. So this space needs to be tackled next, but we have just got into a bit of a pickle with our storage spaces. So the longer days and the warmer evenings are giving us the time and energy and motivation we need to start sorting some of these out. Right, through into the quad and then into the veg plot. And I think you're probably gonna see quite a difference here compared to where we were. Starting to get tomatoes coming regularly out of the greenhouse now, out of the polytunnel now. My absolute, if I did nothing else on the small holding, growing tomatoes would be the thing I do. I am ambivalent. Sorry, I don't even know if I'm at the right angle there. I'm trying to concentrate on two things at once. I'm pretty ambivalent about tomatoes from a supermarket. I'll eat them, they're okay. Tomatoes that you grow at home are, of all the things you grow, I think, on a small holding or in a veg plot or wherever you're growing, tomatoes are the thing that have the biggest difference. So if I did nothing else, tomatoes would definitely be the thing. So it's been brilliant to start to get them and get them in and eating. Right, let's show you in here again. It's really warm. I'm going to do this bit as quick as I can. There you go, you can start to see some of the ripened tomatoes. This side is starting to look a bit jungly, so I need to do a little bit of tidying up here, although it's looking well and I'm really pleased with it. Everything's beautifully healthy. Look, these, I picked all the ripe tomatoes from here yesterday and overnight and into this morning. We've got loads more. This is what I love. They're just so giving, so abundant. We have some aubergines starting to come, particularly, actually, they're the early check down here on this side, and they're supposed to be the earlier ones, but actually, if I just nip across to the other side, these are the Black Beauty, and they are definitely beating the early check, which are supposed to be sooner than them. This tree spinach, which isn't supposed to be in here, I'll show you outside in a minute the difference between the one that came in here by accident and the ones that have been purposely sown. Unbelievable. We've been eating from this one in our salads. Basil's coming along beautifully. The tomatillos are starting to fruit. I love these little papery lanterns, aren't they cute? This latter, oh, although Danny at the Grow Up channel called it latar, and I don't know if I've been pronouncing it wrong. Latar sounds posher, so I think I'm probably a latter girl. But apologies to whoever named it if I've been mispronouncing it all this time. The sweet spirals, which I don't have they're the only place we have the sweet spirals are in here, are looking well, as are the sweet wax. Again, they're only in here. The jalapenos looking much healthier in here than they are in the conservatory. On the other hand, the padrons, one of them went into complete shock when it went in here, and I'm going to replace that with something else. I have over here, which I need to actually, they're desperately dry and need potting on. I've got two mystery, I don't know if they're squash or melons. They just were, the labelling got mixed up, so I might put one of those in and just see what they come to. Starting to get some calendula come through. The prairie fire also doing brilliantly in here, and various bits and bobs that I need to pot on and move on. Now Claire at my farmyard garden, what am I doing wrong with my loofah? Do I need to pot them into a bigger pot? I was kind of expecting them to get bigger than this before I needed to move them on. Or do I just pop them straight out and see how they do? Because they look so diddy. Right, I'm already too hot. I'm taking you out. That's better. Bit of a breeze. Okay, behind me, I think you can see where all of that wood chip that was on the hard standing has ended up. So I'm going to turn you around so I can show you a bit more clearly. I'm standing here at the gate into the veg plot, and we already had, I think, this pathway, but this area was where we did have all that black plastic and had piled all of the compost on top. So it had done a pretty good job of killing the grass, but very quickly we were seeing the grass was starting to grow back. So we have covered it up with wood chip. We are going to have long-term plans is to have a greenhouse on this space, a fairly big self-built, self-designed greenhouse, hopefully next winter's infrastructure project. But for now, we're going to keep the ground nice and protected and not full of weeds with all of this wood chip, and then we can rake this back and use it elsewhere. The second chaos bed is, we've been having a problem with pigeons, so I'm trying to use these as bird scarers. Not lots coming up, but some is coming up. So we've got some beetroot and some chard and various other bits and pieces that are appearing. The garlic is looking really well. I've had a look at a couple under the surface, and they have split as they're supposed to in the majority of cases that I've looked at. Now I know lots of people harvest their garlic today on summer solstice, on the longest day. It's a fairly traditional thing to do, but we don't need the space yet, and they're not starting to flop over, and they haven't really got too much rust. Hoping that wind's not bothering you too much. They have got a little bit, but not tons, and so I think I'm just going to leave them in the ground until they look as though they need to come out. I've done a little bit of interplanting between them. I've got some Chinese greens and a couple of other things in between when they do come up. And similarly with the field beans here, let me turn you around again. Similarly with the field beans here, so these ones at the front that are slightly smaller are the broad beans, and we've been harvesting from them and enjoying those. The field beans behind them are much later to come, so they're just starting to fruit now. And again, I'm really happy with that. I mean, the field beans we may eat or may not, it doesn't matter either way. They're there as a to do chop and drop and as a nitrogen fixer into the soil. The beans are nice, they're slightly smaller than broad beans, a little bit more fiddly, so we may not end up harvesting tons of them. But again, because we're lucky and don't need the space just now, we're going to leave those where they are until we need to replace. Courgettes, I'm having an interesting year with courgettes. So this was the only one from the first lot that survived, and then these three from my second sowings still not looking massively healthy. I don't think they're enjoying it being quite so dry, although we are watering a lot out here. They're still struggling a bit. The celery and celeriac, on the other hand, coming along well, as are most of the bush beans. So again, this is one of the places we're having real trouble with both pigeons and slugs. So a lot of the direct sowings have been munched before they've been able to take a hold. And really sadly, because I was really looking forward to these, and maybe I'll replant, the Jacob's cattle seem to be the most delicious for the slugs. You're gonna have to forgive the shadows. I can't film on a hot sunny day without creating them. Yeah, I mean, you probably, that just looks like earth, doesn't it? In the most, there's loads of just decimated little bush beans that have been eaten by the slugs and the pigeons. So Jacob's cattle bush beans, obviously delicious, and we're not going to have an opportunity to find out unless I resow. I don't think it's too late to resow. And then the second lot of peas I sowed in this space, which is where we're experimenting with just letting the peas scramble across the ground, have all pretty much all come up and doing well. And my walking onions are starting to get to the point where we can start to think about bringing some in. So some of the little, this is how they work. So they form these bulbils, which you can use as little shallot type onions, and if you don't use them, they get heavy, they fall over, they self-plant into the soil eventually, and then you get new growth there, which turns into these lovely onion bulbs. So they are perennial if you allow them to do their thing, but you can also, if you're careful about how much you take, harvest as we go. So this year we won't take a huge amount of harvest from these, but over the years they should be our sole onion need. They should cover all of our onion needs. Lazy housewife beans are doing exactly what it says on the tin and being very lazy. So the 3 that I grew in cells are trying, but not particularly hard. And then all the ones I direct sowed, we've got 1. A grand total of 1 has come up. I'm going to give up on these. I think I'm going to let them do what they're going to do, and that's it. Again, I know it looks really dry out here, but we are watering regularly. The 2 nasturtium I planted out here compared to the ones in the kitchen garden, you can see the difference. So there's definitely stuff struggling out here, but I'm really pleased with the asparagus we sowed. So there's 3 types in here, and 2 have given us ferns this year. I don't know if that means this middle section has not taken, or whether it's just a later one and therefore isn't going to grow, or perhaps was an earlier one and therefore isn't going to grow this year but might next. But this side you can see they are coming along beautifully, so we won't take obviously anything from these for the next couple of years. And then these little ground cherries are starting to pick up. That one in particular is looking a little better. Right, where should we go next? Should we go over to the corn? Now, I watched the Charles Dowding video this morning, and I had been quite pleased with my corn until I watched it. And his is enormous. It's about 5 times the size of mine. I mean, I know he's Charles Dowding, but still, it's always depressing, isn't it? Comparison is the thief of joy. It's absolutely true. Don't compare, folks. Just makes you miserable, because actually I had been really happy with this. I think the corn, not all of it's coming on brilliantly, but it's coming on well. I've got some more to come out that's currently in the greenhouse, both of sweet corn, which this is, and of some flint popcorn, which I'm going to put, I think, over by the chickens so that we don't cross-pollinate, but I need to think of a way of protecting them from the rabbits if I do that. Squash, again, struggling a little bit with the dryness. I think we're doing our very best to keep on top of the watering. But I think particularly in this ground, because it isn't the beautiful no-dig compost ground, it's just straight into the ground, I think we're seeing more of an issue here. Interestingly, there's not a particular difference, I don't think, between the corn that's mulched and the corn that isn't, but I will continue to come out with mulchings. We have, as you know, been using grass clippings as mulch. I'm a bit restricted on doing that at the minute because there are buttercup and clover flowers everywhere, even in the lawn that we mow regularly. They're coming up faster than we can get round to mowing them, and I don't want to put buttercup and clover seeds in the mulch around what I'm growing and then water it regularly just to create ourselves a lovely patch of weeds. Oh, let me show you the other kale. This is a story of getting better as you go along. So this end, a couple of bits and pieces just starting to germinate, but not that happy. And then you start to come towards the calendula, and look at the difference. Let me get my shadow out of the way. These are the tree spinach. So that's the difference between, they must have gone in at the same time because the one that went inside went in by accident. This is how they've grown outside compared to that you saw inside. And then as we come along here, it gets more and more lush. So at this end of the bed, we're seeing much more activity. Borage is starting to come along. We've got chard coming. Look at the size of these. I mean, I was never intending to harvest them. I don't think I've ever seen a radish that big. Let me put my hand next to it to show you. It's enormous. So the radish, which I'm growing for their seed pods, is coming along, as is lots of the other stuff we put in, and excitingly starting to flower and give us some pops of colour and beauty as well. Right, let's come past there and to the Brassica cage, which I think is one of my favourite places on the veg plot at the moment, because it is a natural shade cloth. And so you come in here and immediately everything feels cooler, and it's rather lovely to see the progress. Now, this side is all broccoli up until the top, where we've got some broccoli and some red cabbage, which I already know I've planted too close together, but life's short. Let's not worry too much about planting gaps. Let's just shove it in and see how it goes. Got some direct sowing in here, some of which has done well and some hasn't. So these are turnips, this row here that you can see, they've come up well. The rocket next to them has come up well. Green purslane not doing anything. I've just got lots of weeds there. Same with the red orac, and the same with the red carrots. So I'm glad I did those carrots in the other space. But the swede is coming up well. So mixed picture on the direct sowing. Is everybody else's cosmos really late this year? Cosmos just seems really slow. All the year round cauliflower in the middle, looking well. And along this edge we have Savoy cabbage. So 2 rows of all the year round cauliflower, Savoy cabbage along here, some more tree spinach, little baby, and kale there, Brussels sprouts here, and the Asturian tree cabbage there. And then on the table here, I had these trays in the polytunnel hoping that that would protect the overnight temperatures, protect them from getting too cold at night, but I think that was a mistake, and I think everything just hasn't coped. Look, you can see a zinnia came up and fried. So yesterday I moved them into here. I don't think much is going to come up. I'm going to give the bits that are doing okay a chance to recover in this slightly shadier spot, and then I'll probably resow loads of that. These were from a lovely little kit that my sister gave me when we moved in. So these are some red Brussels sprouts, some yellow courgettes, some, I think that's chard, some cosmic purple carrots, and these are some striped tomatoes, which may be a bit late, but I was hoping I could bring them on and then over winter. And the idea is that you sow them in these little coir pots and then just plant them straight in the ground, and they figure themselves out. So I'm not going to do that, I don't think, with the courgette. I think they're too close together, but the others, I think probably we might get away with that and then thin them. Leeks looking well. They're just going to sit there until they get bigger. These are spares of cabbages and tree cabbage and other things, which when they come on a little bit bigger, I'm going to put out in that space the snack bar for the chickens, which you've seen that I've planted along the edge of the chicken coop. So these are going to go in as chicken snacks. Right, I'm going to head over now to the woodland and show you the progress Mr. H has been making. Let's go and have a look. As we go past, you can have a little quick peek into the fruit cage, which is still relatively weed free, and we did, very excitingly, get a couple of strawberries from these strawberry plants, having had all the trouble we had with them. But weed free still and looking well. Could do with the water. Right, through this long grass, we've got some fantastic meadow starting to develop. We do want to, I think I've mentioned it in another video, but we really want to bring some more native meadow flower seeds in here, because we are going to let so much of it be natural meadowland. But they are so expensive, honestly. I mean, I know things are expensive and I'm usually prepared for it. I really was quite shocked when we saw the cost of meadow seed. Right, behind me you can see progress Mr. H is making. I'm going to turn you around though and show you one of the sad things of the summer being so dry. A couple of you have asked about the pond, and the answer is, at the minute, there is no pond. We have a big hole in the ground, a very dry, very big hole in the ground. It does give you a good sense of the size of it though, I think. And we'd always committed to allowing this to go for at least a full year, if not 18 months, because by the point we dug this, it hadn't had time to fill fully. And so we don't know the rate of evaporation, especially as it's been so hot and windy here. You can see that's the only place we've got any even sign of dampness. And I think you can see doggy paws in the bottom of there. That will be Otter enjoying getting his paws cool in the cold clay. But very, very dry. I don't know whether that indicates, I think it probably indicates we're going to need to get some bentonite clay in here to line it, but we are going to let it go one more winter to be 100% sure exactly what is going to happen once it's truly full. Because if you remember, it had only filled really to about here before the weather dried up. It was just coming in front of the island, and it should fill much, much further than that with a full winter. Assuming it's as wet as it was last year or even close. So we're going to see how it goes, but if we do get bentonite clay in there, then I've been watching lots of interesting things about being able to pop your pigs in with it and they work it in for you. So it might be that at the time we decide we're going to clay this is perfect timing for when we get our first pigs. And although we intend to put them over there eventually, there's nothing to stop us, as long as we find some shade for them, popping them in the pond in the first instance, and they'll help us work it all in. So possible future plan there. Right, back to the trees. So this is what Mr. H has been working hard on, and there's more to do, but the key is protecting these from the grass competing with them. So the majority of our trees in the woodland are coming along really well. We do have a few, the field maple in particular, none of them have taken. Some of the oaks have struggled. They're over there, we haven't got to those yet. But the majority, here's one that may have not taken, yeah, so some haven't taken. And Woodland Trust did say to expect that. They will come and replace if they're satisfied it's not of our making. They'll come and replace any, although they won't plant them for us, but they'll give us next season replacements for those that haven't taken. But so much growth on so many of them, it's really exciting. And this is what we're working on. So about 600 millimetre square bit of cardboard around each. At the minute he's just weighing them down with lumps. The idea is that they will, let me show you one that's finished. So the idea is that we're using this pile of clay that came out of the pond to fully protect them, like we've done here. Look, you can see the rabbits chancing themselves, trying to get to stuff. So that's the intention, is they'll be fully protected with the clay, and that should suppress the weeds pretty well, although I've just spotted this, so it's not a perfect solution, but it's definitely better than, as you can see here, the grass growing right up next to it. But we have a bit of an issue at the minute in that clay is rock solid, so it's becoming, because it's been so dry and windy, that is almost impossible to dig into. So we've got a couple of solutions. We might run the hose up from the well and clay it on there whilst he's trying to dig it. So for now he's just weighing the cardboard down, and then once we've figured out a way to soften the clay up a bit, that's what's going to happen. And as you can see, it's a hefty job because he's having to trim round. This will be the last time, hopefully, that we trim this grass back, because then it should be safe to let it grow in between the protected areas. Whilst we're up here, I'll take you over to cow fields and show you just exactly how long the grass is getting and how beautiful it is. It's like almost like looking at the ocean when you come out here to walk the dogs. And it's hilarious because the dogs completely disappear in the grass now. You can't see them, all you can see is the grass moving to know where they are. So there's a good sense of it here. There's a tractor coming past. Noise is huge. So this is cow fields currently. Just beautiful. And so many meadow flowers already kind of making an appearance, loads of butterflies. We do hope eventually to have some livestock in here, so this part won't always look like this. However, this will, that will always be meadowland, as will between the trees and the section on the other side of the pond before you get to the veg plot. So we're going to have a fair amount of meadowland. And it's just so gorgeous. And then the final bit of the puzzle, I'm just walking into the chickens' paddock, and this end of it is where I think I might trim this back and try and put the flint corn, it's rainbow popcorn, because it should be well protected by all these hedgerows in this paddock, and therefore not cross-pollinate with the sweet corn, which we wouldn't want. But I am a bit worried about bunnies because this paddock is full of bunnies in the morning. I don't know if you can see. Can I capture them? There are hundreds of butterflies in this bit of meadow. I don't think the camera's picking them up. What a shame. Anyway, so let's put you back to normal. So I think, yes, a little patch of flint corn, popcorn there, and then the chickens, who are very sensibly in the shade, are loving life. It is amazing how fast these girls have become. Hello, hey, hey! They're so friendly. They come and see you. Let's go in and I'll show you. Look, rushing out to see us, it's because they think I'm going to give them some corn. Hello, hey, hey. Let me just put that back. So it is incredible how quickly these girls have become just a really important part of our daily life here. Hello. Hello. And they're giving us on average 4 eggs a day between the 5 of them. This area is lovely and cool in here. Okay, I'm doing it. This area is so lovely and cool in here. It's perfect for them. Not too much. There you go. Where's your sister? Is she laying an egg? I'm not going to disturb her because I think that the 5th one might be in one of the laying boxes. Yeah, I can hear her. So the only thing that I think is been not a disappointment, because it doesn't matter, it's easy enough to fix. They haven't been able to get the hang of using the treadle feeder. They're too frightened of it. They're too frightened of stepping on it and opening up the metal. So an expense, just let that tractor go past. So possibly an expense we didn't need, because all we're doing in the morning is coming in and locking it in the open position and then closing it at night. So we could easily have done that with a bucket or a bowl or anything else. but it's not the end of the world, and future chickens may well be able to manage it. It could be because they were older when they came in and so weren't able to. We've been bringing in, as you can see, wood chip and grass clippings. We're going for a deep litter approach in here and in the coop. So we're using the sundown egg bed in the coop, but once a week filling that, not emptying out what's in there, just filling on top. And in here we're doing it with organic matter, so grass clippings and wood chip. On using grass clippings with your hens, please do your own research and only do what you are comfortable with. We have read extensively on the matter. I've spent more time than I'd care to admit reading about it, because I worry about these things and I want to do right by them. And there are two distinct schools of thought around grass clippings. Easy for you to say. It's a busy tractor morning today. And we have made the very considered decision that we're happy to give them the clippings that we cut here. We cut them very small. We do several passes on successively lower sections, so they're not getting long bits of grass in the grass clippings that we pop in there. The reason there's two schools of thought is that it's fantastic for them in terms of being able to forage and pick through and get bugs out and all of those things, plus it helps with your deep mulch as long as you're mixing plenty of wood chip in as well. But they can get, if there's long bits of grass, they can get them stuck in there. I've forgotten what it's called, that bit, which can cause them problems. So we're sharing what we do, we're not recommending what you should do, and please do take your own advice and do your own reading and make your own decisions about that. Okay, we are just about there on the tour. I have some mum taxiing to do this morning, so I'm heading in to get ready to do that. And then the plan for the rest of the weekend is a bit of a see it do it weekend, I think. Mr H is going to carry on with the trees. I'm going to get in the veg plot and just see what needs doing. Probably plenty of weeding. I noticed that particularly actually as we were going around in the Brassica cage, so I think I'll start in there. But for now, I'll sign off there. Hope you all have a fantastic summer solstice weekend, and I'll see you next time.